Hey everyone, welcome. This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. This is Thursday, March the 6th. We are live right here in the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios in Lubbock, Texas. We're live on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio and 1420 AM and 987radio.com. So we are also live on all of our social media pages around the world, and we welcome you on this Thursday. We hope you had a great day. The week is almost finished, and I hope that it went your way. There was the ups and downs in the weeks. I know we all deal with those ups and downs, and the good and the bad. We have to take it all together. So, we had a little bit of that this week ourselves, and I lost a really, really good guy this week, and so we're dealing with that a little bit. But we're going to go on. We're going to go on, and we're going to try to be as healthy as we possibly can, and that's what we're talking about. I'm really fired up. It's March. We're really going to try to be, really get things going for us and see if we can, we're in season with health as far as I'm concerned. So tonight we're going to talk about, we've had some good shows this week, but tonight we're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about food, and I'm going to give you some recipes, which I usually don't do on the show, but I've got a couple of options for you tonight, and we could talk about some recipes. We can also talk about some supplements, and I do want to talk about that tonight. And so the show is going to be mostly, we're just going to talk about food in multiple ways, multiple ideas of food. And so I need to preface it because I have been doing this for a while now, talking about food. And really since 2009, we really got heavy into talking about it in our office. And the one thing I know about food is it's like, and I say this a lot of times, and you guys have heard me say it probably, that if you had the Baptist and the Methodist and the Presbyterians and the Catholics and the Lutherans, and they were all sitting around a table together, and you started talking about religion, it wouldn't take but just a second, and then there'd be a bunch of crossed arms, and people would be sitting back, and they'd be like, they get fussy, right? If you get the Republicans and the Democrats together at a table and you start talking about things, it doesn't take but just for about 2 sentences. And then all of a sudden, people are fussy again, right? If you get chiropractors and medical doctors sitting around, or physician's assistants and nurse practitioners and all of us sitting around a table, and we start talking about health, we're going to start, a lot of times we're going to get fussy, right? So when it comes to food, one thing I know is this: every single person I've ever met in my entire life has an opinion on what they like to eat and what they don't like to eat. Everybody says, well, I love fish, or I hate fish, or, I love my Dr. Peppers, or no, I don't drink sodas, or whatever. Everybody's got a thing, right? So whenever we do a show about food, I make sure that I want to explain where I'm coming from with food, because what we're going to try to do with food is we're going to try to do two things. We're going to try to I'll write it out for you tonight, because our goals, because I think if you do these two things, when it comes to food, you'll cover so many of the other things. Okay, number one is control your insulin. And how do you control your insulin? You keep your blood sugar down. You keep your blood sugar down, okay? That's number one. And number two is you balance your omega-6 3 ratio. And so those are the two things. And I know you guys that are normal listeners to our show, I know that you know that. And those are things that we've talked about 100 times or more, probably since we started this show, those two things. But I think you can get a lot of things in there if you just do those two things. So just remember that as we start the show, so that you understand it. And then understand that it's like I had a conversation today with one of my ladies, because, anytime one of your patients dies, it bothers you. If you care about people, it bothers you. And it really does. And it makes you think of all the things that you could have done better. Is there anything that I could have done better? That and yes, the answer to that question is yes. And it's a disgusting feeling inside your own gut when you you didn't do every single thing that you could possibly do to help somebody, and you dropped the ball. Even though you mentioned it to them, even though you talked about it, even though you did shows, even though you do a 5 nights a week, you do an hour-long show on nutrition and food and health and all that stuff, you still feel like, I could do a better job. And so I had some conversations this week with some of my patients, and I had a conversation today about um, about one of my ladies. She said, I just can't. Now I can't do without my daily Dr. Pepper. And I said, where do you get it from? And she said she gets it from Taco Villa. She gets a medium from Taco Villa. And we all know that a medium for Taco Villa is 32 ounces. And so I asked her, I said, hey, have you ever taken a birth control pill or a blood pressure? I actually used blood pressure with her because I knew she was taking blood pressure pills. I said, do you take a blood pressure pill? And she said, yes. And I said, how big is that pill? And she said, it's not very big at all. Now, the only bottle I had open in the office was some calcium lactate that we don't hardly ever take, but just the cold sore or something. But I said, okay, you got a blood pressure pill, and it's not even this big. Like it's definitely smaller than this calcium lactate pill right here. Okay, so if you take, I asked her, I said, if you take one of these a day, does it work? And she said, yeah, if I take one of them a day, it keeps my blood pressure down. And I said, okay. I said, how many of these pills could you put into a 32-ounce cup? The first thing you got to do is you got to establish that this blood pressure pill works, or you can use a birth control pill. Works just as good. If any of you ladies out there taking birth control pills, if you take one little, a birth control pill is like half of one of these calcium pills, right? It's a little bitty pill. If you take one of those pills a day, you won't get pregnant. One of these tiny pills has enough potency to change the physiology inside the body. One of these pills this big has the potency to change the physiology and lower the blood pressure inside the body. Think about that for a second. We say it's just one Coke, right? It's just one Coke, but that one Coke has the ability of how many thousand birth control pills? Literally, I bet you we could put 1,000 of these little calcium lactates inside this 32-ounce cup. I think this is 32 ounce. And you can put it in there, right? So just remember that when you say to yourself that it's just one Coke a day. I just have one cookie a day. Right? There's just one. It's just one thing. So if you can take a supplement, and that one supplement or a pharmaceutical, and that one pharmaceutical has enough kick to actually change the physiology of your body, then you ought to consider the idea that, the food can do that same thing to our body, right? So just remember that what we're eating is moving us towards health, or it's moving us away from health. Okay, so that was the first thing that I wanted to bring up today. So then I want to show you this one because this is something we've seen before. We'll probably go through parts of this article tonight. This is anti-inflammatory properties of diet, role in healthy aging. So before we start looking at some recipes, I just want to remind us what is going to happen with these recipes, and I'll just point them out to you as we go through there, and see if there's any omega-6 or omega-3 in the recipe to try to say, hey, you got to kind of watch out for that right there, right? So This was in Biomedicines, July 30th, 2021. Comes from a whole group in the German Institute of Human Nutrition at the University of Potsdam, Germany. It cites 125 references. And this is the process. The arachidonic acid gets carried through the physiological process by the COX enzymes or the LOX enzymes, and you end up with these series 2 prostaglandins, or you end up with these series 4 leukotrienes, and those are pro-inflammatory. So if you want to know what you're eating, if it's causing inflammation in your body, anytime you eat these, and I'll give you a list of them here in just a second. And then on the other hand, the EPA, which is what you get in the fish oil, the COX enzymes and the LOX enzymes bring you down to series 3 prostaglandins and series 5 leukotrienes, and those are anti-inflammatory. So if you want to control the inflammation in your body, you want to make sure that you keep that 6:3 ratio balanced. You don't want to have a ton of this arachidonic acid omega-6. You don't want to have a bunch of that and then not very much of that EPA on the other side, or you're going to get an imbalance between the two. And it shows it really well right here. You have a decrease of the good stuff, and you have an increase in the pro-inflammatory stuff, and then your body ends up with inflammation. And then it goes to what we said last night and the night before about you've got inflammation, you got stiffness. You got stiffness, you got lack of mobility. You got lack of mobility, you got lack of input into the brain. Now you got right side and left side brain dysfunction, and you got all kinds of autonomic nervous system dysfunction. You got sympathetic stress firing off, and then here comes all kinds of disease, right? And it all comes back to your plate. So, and I'm not going to get too far into it, but inflammation is a physiological process involved in the defense of the body and repair of tissues. It is acutely activated by infections, trauma, toxins, allergic reactions. Inflammation plays a relevant role in aging. We get all these anti-aging things going on and all these things we want to take, but it's like we just keep our inflammation down, that'll help. Chronic inflammation can end up stimulating the development of diseases such as cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disease, neurological diseases, or cancer. And I was reading on lupus today and Sjogren's disease, and about the inflammatory response with all the interferons and all the tumor necrosis factor alpha and all the things that the toll-like receptors, all that stuff that goes along with inflammation in those autoimmune diseases. During aging, inflammation becomes increasingly more chronic. So certain foods have pro-inflammatory activity and certain diets have anti-inflammatory activity. And the pro-inflammatory foods include sugars, refined carbohydrates, omega-6 fats, and chemicals. The anti-inflammatory foods include fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, carotenoids, flavonoids, and more. Okay? Abdominal and visceral obesity has tripled in the population. 5% to 10% of cancer is caused by genetics, whereas 95 to 90% is due to environmental factors and lifestyle, the diet we regularly consume. Okay? And then it talks about some of these types of diets. Okay? So one of them I want to touch on tonight, I want to start off with is the Mediterranean diet. And you hear a lot about the Mediterranean diet, right? Well, these are kind of the highlights of the Mediterranean diet right here. You're going to focus on olive oil. You're going to use olive oil and butter. And that's what you're going to cook with. So a couple times this week we had, just like we got some steak and some chicken. It's kind of like going to a hibachi restaurant, right? So you order steak and chicken. But when you go to the hibachi restaurant, they that whole pre-meal routine that they go through, they're putting vegetable oil all over the table, and then they've got that where they put that other oil out there and they cut the onion all up and make a volcano and set it on fire and do the choo-choo train thing. Y'all been to those places, right? So you'll get steak and chicken, or like it's common here at the West Texas version of, Yamagata or Ohana's or whatever, and steak and chicken, right? Well, you're going to take an animal that's been fed corn, cottonseed, and soy, and you're going to cook that animal in vegetable oil. So what are you going to get when you do that? When you do that, you're going to get increased amounts of pro-inflammatory prostaglandins and leukotrienes. You're going to get inflammation. You're going to get inflammation, and stiffness is what you're going to get whenever you're eating those kind of foods, right? So we want to stay away from that. So what we did is we bought grass-fed steaks and free-range chickens, and then we cooked them in olive oil or butter, and I think it was just butter. So Leslie just cut them up into little chunks, and then she put some seasoning on them or something, some Tony Chachere's, I don't know what something she had, the seasoning, but she just used a little bit of butter to cook them up in. And it was the same thing we had. One of my favorite dishes that we have at home is kind of goes back to the Carino's. If you ever ate at Carino's Italian restaurant, and the dish they have there, and you just cut those chunks of chicken up and just cook them up in some butter, and then she adds cayenne pepper and some red chili flakes and puts them in there, and then she pours some heavy cream on top of it, and then just lets that all mushrooms, put some mushrooms in there, and then cooks all that up, and then we eat it with green beans. It's delicious. It's delicious. I mean, it'll twang your buds. It's delicious. So that's what those are the things that when you look at the Mediterranean diet, it's olive oil, it's fruits and vegetables, it's fish and seafood. The Mediterranean diet was passed on through generations before the globalization of the food system. The Mediterranean diet, is described in civilizations that surround the Mediterranean Sea because they share common foods and cooking methods. Olive oil is especially emphasized due to its ability to reduce radical oxidative species and prevention of inflammation-related diseases due to its phenolic compounds. The protective role shown by the Mediterranean diet is due to its antioxidants and anti-inflammatory components. Okay, so that's basically it. It's like and it's the same thing that we talk about. We just add red meat into that, but we add grass-fed red meat into that, and we want to have more berries than fruits because I'm trying to control blood sugar. So now you're not going to make yourself sick by eating a Mediterranean diet if you're eating fruits and vegetables. It's where you start from that makes the difference. If you're trying to get yourself healthy, I just would use berries so you can control your blood sugar. But that's just one of the diets. So let's look at a couple of recipes right quick. And this comes from Dr. Axe. If you guys know Dr. Josh Axe, and let me start off with breakfast. And this is, you can see the healthy recipes with Dr. Axe. And there's Dr. Axe and his studly self. Bring this up here. So here's smoothies for breakfast. So this is pretty simple, but here's something that he uses. 6 ounces of, and I don't even know how you say this, amase, something sort of old fermented milk, but or coconut. 6 ounces of coconut milk, 1 cup of raspberries, 2 raw eggs, or 1 scoop of protein. This is coming from Dr. Axe on the raw egg deal, okay? Or stevia to taste. And there's your berry smoothie. So it's pretty simple, just throwing in your raspberries. We do that same thing. Like the one that we would make here, because I don't need the milk. When we do a smoothie, I don't need the milk at all. So I just use water. I'll put a cup of raspberries, and then I'll add a cup of blueberries, and then I'll use 1 scoop of protein powder, and then just a little dash of stevia there, and then there's a quick berry smoothie. The next one is a peach probiotic smoothie. Same thing, 6 ounces of the coconut milk, 1 cup frozen peaches, 2 tablespoons almond or cashew butter, 2 raw eggs, 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and that's a tablespoon, 2 tablespoon of honey. And There you go. That's the peach probiotic smoothie. Now, I'm not I'm not endorsing the raw egg thing. You can eat the raw egg if you want, according to Dr. Axe. But I'm going to say that if you had a good protein powder, that would be an option as well. That you could get that in there. And then that last one, the superfood smoothie, 6 ounces of coconut milk, 1 cup blueberries or raspberries, 1 cup kale or spinach, and then mix all that stuff up, right? 1 teaspoon flax or chia seeds, half teaspoon cinnamon, and stevia to taste. Three options right there that you can have for breakfast, that are smoothies, that you could do quickly, and then just get after it right there, right? So if you're in a hurry and you want to get a smoothie, there's 3 options for you right there. Now, you can substitute, if you want to substitute almond milk, be careful with the sugar on that. You could do it that way. But you don't need the milk. You could just do water. It's just as easy. And one of the things that I'll also do is put ice in it. So you could put a cup of ice in it, and that makes it thicker, and it's more like a milkshake type if you put the ice in there and keep it nice and cold, right? He's got some gluten-free pancakes. So the gluten-free pancake mix, he gets Bob's Red Mill. I don't know what that says. This is 1 cup, maybe. 2 eggs, 1/2 cup coconut milk, 1/2 cup canned pumpkin, 1/2 fresh or frozen blueberries, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. Combine wet ingredients in a bowl except the blueberries. Whisk in dry ingredients carefully to avoid clumping. Stir in the blueberries. Heat coconut oil in pan over medium heat. Serve warm with blueberry and maple syrup. So be careful with the syrup part, because you'll end up with the sugar, the increase in the sugar right there. But there's a version of pancakes that you can make. You can try it out. Bob's Red Mill gluten-free pancake mix. It says one cup. I don't know if that's. I bet you that it'll tell you on the box as well. And then down here, he's got a grainless granola. So 1 cup sliced raw almonds, 1 cup chopped walnuts, 1 cup chopped dried apples, 1 cup of blueberries, 1 cup coconut flakes, a pinch of cinnamon. Toss all the ingredients together in a large bowl and serve with berries. So, sounds delicious, actually. Raw almonds, walnuts, dried apples, blueberries, coconut flakes, and a pinch of cinnamon. And just make yourself some grainless granola right there. So, it's real easy, right? It's like you just don't necessarily know that you should eat. But all those things, I mean, if we're going to do something, if you're going to make a mistake with sugar, if you're going to make a mistake with sugar, you're better off to make that mistake in the morning than in the evening time. You've got all day long to deal with those calories if you're making that mistake in the morning. And I'm not saying that this is a mistake, but we do have some dried apples right there, so you're going to get a little bit of increase in glucose with those dried apples, but not much. The almonds, you're not. The walnuts, you're not. And those kind of balance themselves out, because the almonds might be a little bit heavier on omega-6, but the walnuts are a little bit heavier on omega-3. And so you probably get a little bit of balance right there. Then you get your dried apples, your blueberries, your coconut flakes. So one of the things that the coconut gives to you is what's called medium chain triglycerides, MCTs. And when we go over supplements here in just a second, there's an area of MCTs that are considered a longevity supplement. So that coconut, you notice the coconut milk is in all this. The coconut milk is in the any of these smoothies, and I looked this up. AMASAI, Amasai. I don't know how you say that. I'm sure you guys know how to say it. I never heard of it before, so I just looked it up. a few minutes ago, and it's an ancient kind of milk or something similar to kefir, fermented. All right, we got breakfast. Let's see if we can get some snacks before we have to take a break. Here's a superhuman shake snack: 3 raw eggs, man, or protein powder, right? 8 ounces of your milk or yogurt, the goat's milk yogurt, 4 tablespoons of almond butter, 2 tablespoons of flaxseed or flax meal, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half a banana. It's a snack. I'm just reading it to you. I just wanted to share it with you because I get some requests that sometimes, we could get some snacks. So it's just, hey, I'm just giving you some recipes tonight. And then one more is some hummus. 2 cans of garbanzo beans, 1 quarter cup raw sesame seeds, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1/4 cup lemon juice, 1 garlic clove peeled, some 1 teaspoon of cumin, and some sea salt to taste. So that's a way you can make some hummus. So just some ideas for you. Like I don't do this a lot because there's 5 million places you can go get recipes for things. You can go to Dr. Axe's website and get all the recipes I'm talking about tonight. That's how I got them. So when we get back from the break, we'll continue with what we're doing tonight. We're going to have some more recipes and some more things on the other side. And then if we got some other things we can get to if we get tired of talking about recipes. So stick around with us. We'll be right back. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. Yeah, I think I just got this. I mean, I've had this deal for years. We'll just talk about it while they're on the break. I've had these for years from Dr. Axe, but here's another one. Some guacamole or antioxidant trail mix, 1 cup of pecans, 1 cup of almonds, a half a cup of raisins, a half cup dark chocolate chips unsweetened, 1 cup dried apples, sea salt sprinkled, cinnamon sprinkled. Combine all the ingredients together in a bowl. So you can get healthy stuff if you just work just a little bit at it, and it's not really that complicated to do. It's some guacamole, 2 avocados, 1 lime, 2 cloves of garlic minced, 1 small tomato or salsa, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of dill. And there you go. You can make yourself some avocados. Some guacamole. And then this is a great one. This superfood salad: 1 cup spinach, 1/2 cup blueberry or strawberry, 4 ounces of salmon or chicken, a half sliced cucumber, quarter cup sliced almond, 1/4 cup sliced orange, yellow, red peppers. That looks delicious. And here's some dressing: a half a cup of lemon juice, 1/3 cup extra virgin olive oil. I don't even know what that is. TAHINI, 1/3 cup tahini, maybe. I don't know what that. Let's look it up. TAHINI. Condiment made from toasted ground whole sesame paste. It's a Middle Eastern condiment made from ground sesame. Its more commonly eaten variety comes from whole sesame. There you go. So that's what that is. There's just so much stuff out there that you just, I don't know it all. I know some stuff, but I don't know all the words in the English language, or I don't know them all. I know what all the letters are. That's what got me through chiropractic school right there. 1 second. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. Let me show you a salad before you leave. For all you guys that are on the radio, this is a superfood salad. It's 1 cup of spinach, 1/2 cup of blueberries and strawberries, 4 ounces of salmon or chicken, 1/4 sliced cucumber, quarter cup of sliced almonds, 1/4 cup sliced orange, yellow, or red peppers. And he's got a picture of it right there, and it's delicious. And then he's got some lemon tahini dressing, which is a sesame dressing we just looked up. 1/2 cup of lemon juice, 1/3 cup extra virgin olive oil, 1/3 cup tahini. I guess that's how you say it. 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 cloves of minced garlic, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. And there is your dressing. And I bet you that tastes delicious, and that salad looks delicious. And there you go. So we may come back to that in just a second, but I wanted to get into the supplements tonight, because I said we'd talk about that last night. And if I can find it, there it is. Okay. Let's see if I can make it big enough. This may be too small for you to see. Let me try it this way. There we go. That's a little bit better. Maybe you can see that. I'll read them out as we're going through right there. So let me do one other option and make it the full screen right there. Okay. So try to get all this stuff and clean this off right here. All right, so these are longevity supplements, okay? And this comes from, Dr. Murphy, who you guys have heard me talk about lots of times. And there's 2 or 3 different supplement companies that we would use in these supplements. And so these are the longevity supplements that Dr. Murphy presents, and I've added some of the ones that we use as well. And we'll just talk about it as we go through these. But I just want you to know kind of a baseline. I got the question. I had one of my patients text me and ask me this over the weekend. One of the things that they said, hey, what are some supplements that are basic supplements that we should take? And I want to say this. Last night we talked about the reasons we get sick, and we talked about too much or too little of something. Like we have a deficiency of vitamins and minerals. We don't have enough of something, or we have too much of something. That's the toxins. That's if we have too much of something, it becomes a toxin. If we don't have enough of something, we have a deficiency, right? So our brain's not balanced, our emotions aren't balanced. We have some sort of issue with this. So when we get into supplement recommendations, I really like to do that on an individual basis, because I want to make sure that we're addressing whatever your problem is. If you've got a particular problem and you need some supplements in a particular area, then we try to do that. And that's what we do with our nutritional evaluation, the heart sound recorder, the heart rate variability, the symptom survey, and the toxicity report, the in-body scan, the interview. All that stuff that we do is to try to find out where to make recommendations for you, okay? So, but pretty much all the recommendations in the supplement world is going to have some sort of multivitamin. Now, a lot of people will just go down to Walmart and they'll get a 1-a-day vitamin or whatever, okay? Well, I want to tell you there's a difference between getting a synthetic vitamin and getting a whole foods vitamin. And that's why in the standard process world and in the NutriWest world, because these are the 2 supplements we have: Catalin, which is the standard process, or Core Level Health Reserve, which is the NutriWest. So, but in this Catalin, it's a whole food supplement. when you look on the box of it, it's going to say there's vitamin A. Okay, it's got 360 micrograms. Here's some vitamin C, 4 micrograms. Now, the research on vitamin A is that you can overdose on vitamin A, but it's in the 400,000 and 500,000 microgram level. Okay, it's not in the 360 microgram level. So, and if the research says, if you can go to Google Scholar and look it up, what overdose of vitamin A, it's not that. I mean, you can flush that out within a month, 2 months, 6 months max on some of those research papers. So if you were to get 500,000 units of A, you might have a few symptoms or problems that go along with that, according to the research. But it's not something to be fearful of. Vitamin C, 4 and micrograms. Vitamin D, 7.8 micrograms. These are like really small levels, right? Okay. The reason that standard process had to do that is because when Royal Lee put this thing together since 1929, when they put this thing together with defatted wheat germ, calcium lactate, organic carrot, organic sweet potato, nutritional yeast, bovine adrenal, bovine liver, magnesium citrate, bovine spleen, bovine kidney, organic pea, vine juice powder, organic alfalfa. See what I mean? Like what this is it's the synergistic effect of having whole foods and the way that the body was supposed to have them in the first place. So when you can't compare a whole food multivitamin with a store-bought synthetic one-a-day vitamin. You can't look at it. It's not apples to apples. So you go into Walmart or Sam's or wherever, Costco, wherever you're going to buy your supplements, and you're going to look at it. You're going to say, "Here, I'm looking for a multivitamin," and what you're going to get is a synthetic multivitamin, and it's going to have all these big numbers on it. And then you're going to take something like Catalin, and you're going to say, "Well, your Catalin doesn't match up at all with all this." And I said, "Yeah, but if you really were to study it." And you really were to study what happens when you mix all these whole foods together and what happens in your body, I don't think that your synthetic multivitamin can hold a candle to your whole food multivitamin. That's my own personal opinion. Okay? So that's why we use them right here. So a multivitamin is one thing that is on the list for supplements for longevity. Number 2 is, of course, omega-3 fatty acids. And I put this on here because I want you to know that he gives recommendations for infants. So infants, children, pre-puberty, complete children's EPA and DHA. And I don't have any of that particular here. We've got the fish oil. We've got the fish oil in the tablets. We've got the fish oil in the liquid. Both of them here. We've got some other fish oil for kids up at the front that has the EPA and the DHA switched. But there is fish oil for infants, okay? And the DHA should be greater than the EPA. And he's got 2.6 to 1. So we want almost 3 times DHA to EPA when we're talking about kids, infants, children, and pre-puberty. And then you put 1 per day per year of age if this complete children's EPA and DHA. So, and I'll look it up. Let's look it up right quick because I want you to know how much is in there. See if I can find it. There we go. Let's see if we can pull it up. Complete children's EPA, DHA. So what you're going to get is EPA is 40 milligrams and DHA is 85 milligrams. Okay, so that's a little over 2 to 1 in the DHA part of it right there. Now, let me pull it up here so you can see it. Because that's what it would be. Complete Children's DHA EPA right there is what we're talking about. And then, so it's 60 chewable fish-shaped capsules per bottle. And that's what you're getting. So what you would do is you would take, right over here, you would take however old your child is. If your child's 3 years old, you'd give them 3 of them. And that would be 120 EPA and 240, 255 DHA. If your child is 5, then you give them 5 of them, right? Eventually, you're going to get to the point to where they get a little bit older, then you're going to start using a different supplement because you don't want to have them to have, your 10-year-old taking 10 pills every day. You can change it and get a different one. You could get one in the orthomolecular realm, and then that would be easier to take right there. So but the point of it is to let you know that infants can take it and children can take it. And it's not just, it's a way to control the inflammation from the very beginning of life. We don't have to wait until we're adults to start doing healthy things. It makes no sense, really. It makes no sense to say that when the parents bring their children in here and they get adjusted, but their children don't get adjusted. That makes no sense. And then, because if I ask them, why are your children not getting adjusted? They don't have an answer. They don't really understand. And sometimes they'll say, because they don't want to get adjusted. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Do they want to eat their green beans? Like that doesn't even make any sense. But I'm not trying to parent other people's kids. But and then the other thing is, it's like, why would we wait until the children end up developing some sort of issue before we start to get the children the nutrition and the adjustments and the exercise that they need? Right? That does not make any sense. So let's think about that. Like, it'd be a great idea to get those kids started early. Get them taking their fish oil. Okay? And then adults, you guys know this. It's EPA and DHA 2-to-1 and 3,000 milligrams per day. Okay? 2-to-1. Just look at your bottle. Look at your bottle, and it's easy. You come to the back, you look at DHA, you look at EPA, and is it close to 2-to-1? And then look at how many DHA. First of all, look at your serving size. On the back of your bottle, this serving size says 2 soft gels, and then we come down here where it says DHA, and it's 670 for 2. So if you divide that, it's 335 milligrams per pill, and I got to get to 1,000 milligrams. So if I take 3 of these pills, I'll get 1,000 milligrams of DHA. Okay? We've gone over fish oil a lot. Okay? Dr. Murphy actually uses he also recommends this omega-3 antioxidant. And it's called Complete Omega-3 Cofactor. And you do it per gram of EPA and DHA. And that helps promote the omega-3 double bond from oxidation. So I don't actually have that omega-3 antioxidant in my regimen. I probably should add that in my regimen because I pretty much have all the rest of this stuff almost in my regimen. So that's the omega-3 levels, okay? The next one is vitamin D3, all right? Infants, 400 IUs per day. Pre-puberty, 2,500 IU per day for children. Okay? Adults, 5,000 IUs per day, and you want to make sure you're combining that with your vitamin K. All right? So there's, for the infants, 400 IUs per day. You could get that there's vitamin D 400 from NutriWest, and one complete Immuno D3 from NutriWest as well. On ours, the ones that I keep here in the office is Metagenics, and we've got the 5,000 and the 10,000, but both of those come with K. We buy them and we make sure that they come with vitamin K. Now, Dr. Murphy's going to put in vitamin K up here at the top, It's vitamin K2-4 and vitamin K2-7, complete vitamin K from NutriWest, and then it's part of the the regular vitamin D that we have. So in the Metagenics, it says the D3 5,000 or 10,000 plus K. If you look on the back of it, you'll see where the MK7 is in there, and the MK4. So that you get that right there. But that's the vitamin D3 gets the vitamin D3 and the K combined. So the easiest way to kind of understand what that means is this. Vitamin D helps you absorb calcium from your food. So if you go back and you eat that salad, you take this big old good looking salad and you eat this salad, and you're going to get calcium out of those green leafy vegetables right there. So out of that spinach, you're going to get more calcium in that cup of spinach than you are from a cup of milk. And it's going to be way more digestible for you. It's going to work out better, right? So when you eat those green leafy vegetables, you want to be able to make sure that you're absorbing that calcium in your digestive tract. What helps you do that is your vitamin D. So your vitamin D helps you do that. So now what vitamin K does is it helps you put the calcium into the bone instead of putting the calcium into the soft tissue like your blood vessels or your rib cage or your muscles someplace. That's what the K does for you. So if you're going to take higher levels of vitamin D and you're going to keep your vitamin D level where it's supposed to be, you want to make sure that you have your vitamin K to go along with it. Now, you're getting vitamin K in those green leafy vegetables. But if you're not getting enough green leafy vegetables, then that's where you want to make sure that balance is working together there. All right, let's move along. The next one is, make sure you got it. Yeah. The next one is magnesium. And I've got that covered right there, so I'm going to read it out to you. And there's lots of different types of magnesium, right? But you'll get this, the complete magnesium, 300 milligrams of magnesium per tablet. And this is mostly magnesium malate. And that's for muscle relaxation more than anything else. Okay. It also contains taurine. So that's what you get from the NutriWest. From us, you get reacted magnesium. And it's got multiple types of magnesium. It's got magnesium malate, magnesium citrate, and then it's got lysine, glycinate, chelate together. So you get this one has multiple types of the magnesium. Now I've had people that when they just take the magnesium citrate, it kind of upsets their stomach a little bit. So we switch them over. Like we've recommended Calm for a long time. Calm is a powder form of magnesium, and it's done really well for a lot of people for a long time. This particular one, if people have trouble with Calm, one thing you should really think about, if you have trouble with a supplement, it doesn't mean you should throw the supplement out the door or in the trash and never try it again. What it means is maybe you need to change the form of that supplement. Maybe you need to change the brand of that supplement. Maybe you need to change the dosage of that supplement. Like, don't give up on the nutrition just because your first reaction to it. Now, if you have some sort of allergic reaction, you break out in hives and all that sort of thing, that's a different thing. But if it upsets your stomach a little bit, don't give up on the supplement, right? And I had this experience in the office not too long ago. I guess it might have been this year in January. It could have been at the end of the year last year. But one of my guys was taking some magnesium and it was making his stomach upset. And I said, why don't you try the reacted magnesium by Orthomolecular? And he switched and it's done him great. So he has no problems with it at all. Same thing that we use with the Zypan and the digestive Zymex, which is digestive enzyme stuff. I've had some people that have dealt with diverticulitis and all kinds of digestive stuff, upset stomach and all that stuff. and we got them on some of that Zymex, and it changed their whole life. Like they did really good. Now that's a specific supplement. It's not on the longevity list, but that is a specific supplement that we would use for an individual person right there. Okay, so the magnesium, and I just use what's on the bottle. 235 milligrams of magnesium, and it's part of my daily regimen as well. So we talked about the vitamin K. That's part of it, of the vitamin D, and then CoQ10. The CoQ10 that we use, the CoQ10 ST200 by Metagenics. This is part of my daily regimen as well. It's got vitamin E in it. It's got zinc. It's really funny. I didn't really know that I was taking zinc when COVID hit, and everybody started talking about zinc, and I wasn't really coached up on zinc at the time, and I was like, I'm not sure if I'm taking zinc or not. And sure enough, that's a cool thing when you actually take some of these supplements from reputable companies that really do the work. Then it's like, dude, they already got you covered. So they know that they know it before you know it. So they got you covered. So it's got vitamin E, it's got zinc, and then the coenzyme Q10 in here together. So that's one on the list. Now, the next one is the PQQ instead of the CoQ10. And in NutriWest, it's 4 Complete Energy from NutriWest. Now, I don't have that. And I haven't really done any study on the PQQ. I don't know exactly what that is. I just do the CoQ10 from Metagenics as part of what we do. Okay. And then the Mitochondrial Health 4 Complete AG from NutriWest. And this contains acetyl L-carnitine, alpha lipoic acid, and the CoQ10 together. Now, for mitochondrial health and glutathione precursor, I use the N-acetylcysteine with that. So I'm trying to get the N-acetylcysteine is a precursor for glutathione, and then that's going to help protect the mitochondria. So another thing is there's 3 things that I always remember. I remember undenatured whey protein and pomegranate juice, very small amounts of pomegranate juice, and then the N-acetylcysteine to increase your glutathione levels to help protect your mitochondria. And then this choline enhancement, this is something that is for the brain, complete brain charge, and then complete synapse. And that's for, you got that acetylcholine neurotransmitter in your brain, and that's just an addition right there to the brain. So let's go back over them one more time, because I know there's a lot of data, and we'll just make it as simple as we can, okay? We'll talk it, and we'll make it very simple. Number 1, take a multivitamin, okay? Number 2, take your fish oil. Number 3, take your vitamin D. Number 4, your magnesium. Your vitamin K is in your vitamin D. And then the CoQ10 is for your heart. And then your mitochondrial health is for your N-acetylcysteine, and that's part of it there. One more that I would add to this list is I would add the B vitamins. And I would add the methylated B vitamins, which we call methyl B12 here. But I would use that, and I would use the complete the Cataplex B core from Standard Process is what I would also add in the B vitamin realm, because there's a lot of information about how the brain works and how the autonomic nervous system works and how you deplete your B vitamins. And that's we went over that just a little bit last night. Let me just touch on it tonight, just so you can kind of see it. See where I had it right here. Yeah, so elevated noradrenaline and etiological factors in a number of diseases right here. So it's basically, he's putting forth the hypothesis that noradrenaline, which is signaling molecule in the brain and sympathetic nervous system, is in a number of different diseases. And he examined the elevated noradrenaline is a factor in various types of cancer. And he goes through here with other diseases, including diabetes mellitus, open angle glaucoma, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and asthma. And it just go down and go through all that list, go into hypertension, get you down through there. And then we've talked about this since the beginning of the show. All neurons need two things. They need fuel and activation, right? And in order to process the glucose properly, we need B vitamins. And if we're not getting the B vitamins, then we're not processing the glucose and we're not getting the fuel that we need. So, hey, we just ran out of time. So that's all I got for you tonight. We may touch on this. Whoa, lost my screen. We may touch on this again a little bit tomorrow night, but that's it. If you got any questions about supplements, just holler at me, and I'll try to answer them for you. You guys have a great evening. We'll be back tomorrow night at 6.